27. At 10:00 hours, it should be 11 actually, because it goes by every 2 hours. It records every 2 hours. At 1100 hours, 287. At 1300 hours, 347. So between morning and 1300 hours, the voters were 347. From 1300 hours to 1700 hours, the total voters were 396, which shows that merely 49 people voted in the afternoon. The other witnesses to violence, witness to violence was PW6, Dan Ndegwa Macharia, the agent for Safina Party at Gitiburi 2. He said that he traveled from Laikipia to participate as a party agent. He testified that after the fire started, the station was invaded by about 300 outsiders, some armed with sticks, accompanying CS Ruku. He stated that the group entered the classroom and took things outside the classroom. He protested against CS Ruku commandeering the station, but was handcuffed by police officers who were not uniformed. He was then beaten and detained in a police vehicle until 8 p.m. on that day. He said that he was personally beaten by CS Ruku and was later sent away from the station, denying him a chance to witness the vote counting exercise. In cross-examination, he confirmed that the video did not show the ballot boxes being carried, that he saw ballot box aperture being sealed, that he later saw the ballot box being removed from the Matatu vehicle by the presiding officer and his assistant, that he could not tell if seals were broken, and that the ballot boxes were taken to Stream 1. He did not report this incident to the police. Taking into account the evidence adduced concerning violence as a whole, the court is not able to find that such violence was widespread beyond Gitiburi and Kaungu stations, or was systematic or pervasive within the electoral area or constituency. I'm talking about the evidence. I'm not talking about the allegations. It's the evidence. That is where the weakness of your case was. It's the evidence. The court relies entirely on what is brought into court. So if there are 500 other people, and I know the people of Embu may be feeling something about this, there may have been 500 other people who faced violence. It is possible. But unless the evidence comes into the courtroom and those people testify, proof is not there. The court goes by what is provided as evidence. I was where? Taking into account the evidence adduced concerning violence as a whole, the court is not able to find that such violence was widespread beyond Gitiburi and Kaungu. In fact, in Gitiburi, the only evidence that was provided of violence was Ndegwa, Dan Ndegwa, who said he was beaten by the CS. Then, of course, there was the incidents of the commotion and people with sticks, but that was not indicated as violence. I am not persuaded in the circumstances that the violence substantially affected the overall result of the elections. Despite this, though, there is no doubt that after the violence occurred at Kaungu, there was a decline in voter turnout from about 347 voters between 6 a.m. and 1 p.m. to 49 voters between 1 p.m. and 6 p.m. The voter turnout at Kaungu being 53.9%, compared, for example, to Gitiburi, where there was a turnout of 66.5%, and compared to Gitiburi 2, which had a turnout of 61.8%. This is compared to the average constituency voter turnout of 61.92%. So Kaungu achieved 53 instead of the average 61. If we do a calculation, theoretically, we can say Kaungu may be said to have suffered a turnout decrease of about 8%, or 51 votes or voters, as against the constituency average. So on that issue, again, the petitioner fails. Issue number 6, whether there was bribery, treating and undue influence in violation of the Election Offences Act and the Constitution. PW1 stated that he received reports about serious cases of bribery at Kune, Kageri, Itira, and Kianamu polling stations. He also alleged that bribery was connected to the high numbers of assisted voters. However, he was not able to give any concrete direct evidence of bribery. PW2, the petitioner's chief agent, received reports of bribery at Riandu polling station and treating of voters with unga and cooking oil at Makunguru polling station. He highlighted a person called Nthiga Ndawa area who was allegedly involved in bribery, but he had no proof that the named person was acting on behalf of the fourth respondent. PW3 testified that she witnessed bribery at Kanyuambora polling station, but gave no further details. PW10, Anseta Wakere Maringa, and PW11, Lydia Mbuya Njeru, were the key witnesses for the petitioner on the issue of bribery. PW10 testified that on the occasion, on the election day, she was called by her former MP, Muriuki Njagagwa, who she knew. He asked her to go to the home of her neighbor, Edward Njage. And when she got there, she found many people and was informed that there were presents available for them. She saw those items in Edward Njage's home where Njagagwa was. They were then each given 2 kgs of maize flour, wheat flour, and rice, and Kenya shillings 500. The items were to be in exchange for her vote for the UDA government